Hi, I'm Dr. Ken Snyder, the dental director of the St. Vincent de Paul Charity Clinic here in Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome to the Happiness Factor, where each week we explore these God-given gifts of humor, laughter, and play, and how we can use them not only in our personal lives, but also in our professional lives. Now, today, in the time we have together, I want to explore this human gift of laughter. And the reason I say human gift is studies and research has shown that we humans are the only ones who actually laugh. Now, there's animals like the hyena and monkeys that make sounds like laughter. Some people will claim their dogs actually laugh, and I'm sure we humans give them a lot to laugh about. But most studies concur that we humans are the only ones who actually laugh. And there's many reasons why we do. But before we get started with laughter, I want to clear up some myths about laughter. And myth number one is you need a reason to laugh. And you actually don't. You can start laughing anytime you want. And even if there's nothing apparent to laugh at the moment, if you just start laughing, it's amazing how experiences or memories or jokes or funny movies will pop into your head that will help to continue the laughing. So you can actually start that off anytime you want. Myth number two, we laugh because we're happy. And studies have shown just the opposite. We're happy because we laugh. And if you think about the people you know in your life, be it coworkers, be it family members, neighbors, children, people who laugh freely, they are generally the happiest people you know. Myth number three, a sense of humor and laughing are one and the same, and they're really not. And we're going to explore in depth in the weeks to come these entities of humor, and again, I call them God-given gifts of humor, laughter, and play. And we'll take a deep dive into each one of them and mention not only what they are, and I have a definition for each that I'd like to share with you. And we'll also, again, show how we can actually use them to our advantage to have a happier, healthier, more productive life. And the final myth, and this is one that a lot of us adults have problems with, especially people like myself, dentists or people in the health professions, people, attorneys, accountants, and that is that seriousness equals professionalism. And it really doesn't. You can still have a great sense of humor and put people at ease and bind your team together, and yet they know that you're very serious about the task at hand. And so a lot of it is, taking the task at hand seriously, but not ourselves doing the task all that seriously. Today, I want to explore what happens to us physically when we laugh. Now, I'd like you to close your eyes for just a moment. And I want you to imagine the last time you were engaged in a good, hearty belly laugh, not just a little chuckle or a ha-ha, but a good, hearty rock'em sock'em belly laugh. And for many of us in today's stressful world, it's hard to remember the last time that we actually were engaged in such a laugh. But if you can't think at the moment of a time when you were, think of a fellow coworker, a child, a neighbor, whoever. But imagine that person and they're engaged in this good, hearty belly laugh, and stop and take a look what's going on for them physically. First of all, when we laugh, our muscles relax. And sometimes they relax so much that we actually have tears come to our eyes. And I'm sure most of you, probably all of you, have experienced that at one time or another. And so what happens, we have the lacrimal glands, obviously, inside our eye sockets. And when we laugh, the muscles that control those glands kind of lose control and the tears flow freely. And so that's one of the things that happen. What happens to the color of our faces when we laugh? Well, you'll notice, obviously, that the faces get red. It sometimes almost looks like people have been out in the sun for like days and have an unbelievable sunburn. But actually, our faces get red because the circulation is increased throughout the entire body, not only to the face, but all the vital organs, including the brain. I'm sure almost everyone has laughed so hard that your side is hurt. And there's a reason for that. When we laugh, there's a muscle in here called the diaphragm, and it's moving up and down very rapidly, and it's expanding its movements. And so it's actually bringing a lot more oxygen into the system, and that oxygen gets into the bloodstream and is spread throughout all the body, including all the vital organs, including the brain. And in future podcasts, we're going to talk about how we're actually can remember information longer. We can actually, be more creative, find better solutions to problems when we're laughing. And all these things come into play to our advantage. Now, another thing that happens physically when we laugh is that our blood pressure and our pulse rate actually increases. And so initially it'll shoot up higher, but at the end of the laugh, it'll be much lower than when we started. And there are three other body functions, and we mentioned them last week in the introduction, that are very similar if we were to graph them as far as the brain activity and the muscular activity. One is begins with a C, one begins with a Y, and one begins with an S. And the C is crying. And when we cry, it's kind of the same graph. Initially the tension builds up, and when we're done crying, we're like wiped out. I mean, it's, exhausting, but we don't feel as good emotionally as when we laugh. The one with the Y, you can feel instantaneously. It's yawning. It feels like our head's going to pop off, and in the moment after we yawn, we're so relaxed we can almost fall asleep. And the one that begins with an S, it also ends with an X, and it's a three-letter word, and I'm sure you can figure that one out. So anyway, laughter in its strictest sense, in its purest sense, is actually a stress-relieving mechanism. That's why we laugh. It actually relieves stress. Okay, along with the physical aspects of laughter, there are also chemical changes that take place in our body. There are over 36 different hormones that are released when we laugh, most of them from the brain, that actually put us in a state of euphoria, a higher state of readiness. We feel less pain. Just to name a few of them, serotonin is known as the happy hormone. And this we can experience like if we're meditating, if we're taking a walk in nature, doing a favor. We've all heard this term, random acts of kindness. When you do even a stranger some act of kindness, not only do their serotonin levels increase, but your own serotonin levels increase. We'll talk about another experiment in one of the other podcasts about serotonin, which will just blow your mind. We have dopamine, which is actually what we call the reward chemical. So maybe you did a great job on a test. Maybe there's some little task you completed and you're happy with it, just kind of celebrating life's little triumphs. And when these things happen, the dopamine is released into the body. Oxytocin is known as the love hormone. And we experience this whenever we're holding hands with a loved one, maybe giving someone a hug, playing with a child, or playing with your dog, something that kind of stimulates those love type emotions. And then the last one I want to mention today is the endorphins. And these are the body's natural painkillers. And studies have shown over and over again that we feel a lot less pain when we're laughing. In fact, they've done research projects where people who have chronic pain, if they experience things like watching a sitcom on TV, a funny movie, reading a funny book, just laughing, sharing some funny stories with friends, that they actually experience less pain. And sometimes the effect will last for several hours. And so we're starting to see more use of this in people with chronic pain. And again, in a future podcast, we'll get more in depth as far as that goes. So laughter puts our body in a high state of alertness by these natural chemicals being released. And they don't have any of the side effects like pills you might take or different medications to help achieve the same effect. So you can see how vital laughter is to our well-being. Okay, what's one thing you noticed watching that little video? Laughter is what? It's contagious. Yeah. We've all been in places where people start laughing. We have no idea what they're laughing about. And next thing you know, we're laughing too. So laughter is very contagious. In fact, sitcoms take advantage of this and have been for years by playing a little laugh track. And a lot of times there's something going on. If you were to, shut the sound down, you wouldn't even laugh. But because you hear the laugh track, it kind of stimulates you and you laugh. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's funny. So we talked about laughter being a stress relieving mechanism. And in a future podcast, we're going to talk about how laughing at something is actually a higher brain activity and one of the very few full brain activities that we know. So if you are enjoying the Happiness Factor, please tell your friends. If you would like to join us in our mission at St. Vincent de Paul Charity Dental Clinic in helping those less fortunate in our community, men, women, and children, not only receive comprehensive, but quality dental care to restore their oral health and also put a smile back on their face, you can follow the link below. And it's the link to the St. Vincent de Paul donation page. If you decide to help us out, please mention Dental Clinic, and also would appreciate it if you would mention you heard about it on the Happiness Factor. Any questions you may have about today's podcast or any experiences you would like to add or knowledge that you have on the subject, please email me at the address below. And until next time, as always, be true to your teeth and they won't be false to you.